Got to talk to you about the Nashville cover-up. This is great. This is great because we need to see more of this, where it finally comes out that the people that are like, wear a mask, social distance, you can't do this, you can't do that, that they're playing games behind the scenes. They're not listening to the science. They're making it up as they go along. They're frauds. Right? I think it's important for people to see this, to know this. The coronavirus cases on Lower Broadway, this is in Nashville, Tennessee, this is the Fox affiliate there, may have been so low that the mayor's office and the Metro Health Department decided to keep it secret. Emails between the mayor's senior advisor and the health department reveal only a partial picture, but what they reveal is disturbing. There's a discussion that involves low number of coronavirus cases emerging from bars and restaurants and how to handle that. Most disturbingly, how to keep it from the public. On June 30th, contact tracing was given a small view of coronavirus clusters. Construction and nursing homes were found to be causing problems with more than 1,000 cases traced to each category, but bars and restaurants reported just 22 cases. Leslie Waller from the health department asked, this is not going to be publicly released, right? Just for the mayor's office? Correct. Not for public consumption, writes senior advisor Benjamin Eagles. A month later, the health department was asked point blank about the rumor there are only 80 cases traced to bars and restaurants. Tennessee Lookout reporter Nate Rao asks, the figure you gave of more than 80 does lead to a natural question. If there have been over 20,000 positive cases of COVID-19 in Davidson and only 80 or so are traced to restaurants and bars, doesn't that mean restaurants and bars aren't a very big problem? But it's about the science. It's about the numbers and the data. That's what they tell us. Turns out that now I see some friends of mine, Tommy Laren's out in Nashville. I'm seeing people raise this, that they believe that the mayor of Nashville may in fact have changed the status, the COVID status of his city so that his son could graduate, have a graduation for his high school, and then they went back to a tighter status right afterwards. That's the most classic. This is like these city council members who say that they want less police, they want to defund police, but they want this happened in Los Angeles, this happened in other places too. They want a private police detail as a city council member outside their home 24/7 because, they're scared of how things are going in the city. But you're not allowed to have a gun, and you have less police presence. The mayor of Nashville, who's a Democrat, obviously, he wants people to lock down and do all this stuff, but he wants to hide information from them that would suggest that they could open restaurants and be just fine. That they could do this and it would be no big deal. So, we're going to continue to see people play games like this for as long as they get away with it, for as long as this continues in this way. Friends, I really believe that it's time for just widespread noncompliance. I thought it would come much sooner. I will say I've been surprised at how much everyone's just gone along with this, at how much everyone's just acted like this is what needs be done right now. And no one, there are finally some lawsuits. We should have been suing months ago. Drag these people into court. Make them explain that they think they have total power to do whatever they want because of this health emergency. So I think that finally, but it was an activist, by the way. It was a BLM activist. It wasn't just a random person who was berating the store manager. I see this here. This is on the. Anyway, I think that's very interesting. So we'll continue to follow this as it plays out in cities across the country, and we'll have to watch how this unfolds in the weeks ahead. Because, friends, I'm done with it. I can't handle it anymore. I don't know what to tell you. I think that we've gone way past the level that we should need for patience, especially when there are people out there who think that the best thing we could possibly do is to make this guy president. Play 11.
In my state of Delaware, we have a $4 billion industry. chickens, chicken and poultry, and all the manure, quite frankly, that is a consequence of chickens. And so it's polluting the Chesapeake Bay. What we found out, we've invested a lot of money. We found out you can pelletize this and take out the methane, so you're in a position where you can use that fertilizer without the damage that was being done before. The same way with horse manure and cow manure and pig manure. And we can create thousands of jobs in rural America as a consequence of setting up these small industries within communities. And so that's the way you'll be able to continue to farm without worrying about whether or not you're polluting, and being in a position where you're able to make money by what you do in the transition, as well as be able to grow more.
Yeah. Joe Biden's idea to save American jobs or to save our future is to create industries like the chicken and cow poop pelletizing industry, which, I mean, maybe that's a thing, but this is the first time I've ever heard Joe Biden speak about something where it sounded like he actually had some expertise. Joe Biden, chicken manure commander-in-chief. Not surprising. But yeah, if only that guy's in charge, everything is supposed to settle down, get better. We're all going to be just fine. I don't know how anyone can say that with a straight face, but that is effectively the pitch that we are seeing right now from those who are in charge. So, friends, we're just going to continue to do the best we can with it, stay on it, and hope that not only does Trump win, but that we have enough people that just finally say they're not going to listen to this stuff anymore. What is it going to take? How much more of this do we have to see? If Biden wins, they're going to mandate mask wearing probably until next fall. Outside, if they can get away with it, as well as indoors. Whatever happened to social distancing was the most important thing. Just go back and do Google searches. I know. It drives me completely up the wall at this point, and I've lost all patience for people who think that they're the ones being patient by changing what the rules are that they want to inflict on everyone else every 2 weeks. Every 2 weeks, there's a new, what about this or what about that? And with this vaccine coming out, then you're going to see it even more because, so are you supposed to wear a mask even if you've been vaccinated? Is that what's supposed to happen? You're going to wear a mask and you're going to do all these things even though you've gotten officially vaccinated by this? I've got to tell you, it's, it's a crazy world we're living in right now. Is there going to be a COVID relief bill is another thing that I'm wondering about. There's a budget deal that's underway right now, and the government, both sides will come together and they'll find some explanation for why we've got to have, the debt ceiling raised, because government on both sides likes to spend too much, as we know. But that they'll do. Will they actually get people help right now who continue to have job losses, loss of income because of COVID? I think the answer is no. They're not going to do it because Nancy Pelosi is not going to allow it. I think everybody should remember that when they start to think about how much she cares about the peasants and the poor people of America, the working people of America. She doesn't give a crap about any of them. She doesn't give a chicken manure's pellet about any of them. We had just a couple of weeks ago now Kim Klasik on the show because she had that viral video about what's going on in Baltimore. Remember, the Democrat destruction of major cities has, for a long time now, been one of the issues that they don't have an answer to because they're in charge of these places. They keep promising to make them better. They talk this big game about how they're going to do more for social justice and improve the schools and, make good green energy jobs and all this stuff. And it never happens. And you just have dysfunction, poverty, broken families, substance abuse, and despair in the poorer areas of these Democrat-controlled cities. And Kim just raised that as a Baltimore resident, as somebody who knows the city well. She just raised the issue. And here she is going on The View, which is always an interesting decision for anybody who's got right of center or just not left-wing politics. I don't understand who watches The View or why anybody would choose to watch. You're watching a political discussion with one or two exceptions at that table. I think it's really just one exception these days. But you're watching a political discussion among complete political ignoramuses. You might as well watch third graders talk about politics. But Kim went on there. It has a big viewership. It's a lot of people watch, which is sad for America, but they do. Kim went on there, and here's how it went. Play the clip.
Come on, Kim. Excuse me, I have to say something to you. He told Bob Woodward that it was a very serious issue, and it's airborne, and that it was terrible. And then he went out and told the American people, don't wear masks, it's all going to go away. You have to put some blame on your president. I'm sorry. You're putting it on something extraneous here. Talk to the point, please.
Is this Joy speaking? The same Joy? The same Joy that paraded around in blackface not too long ago? Come on, Joy. I don't think you should be asking these questions. I am an African-American.
Excuse me. The black community had my back. They know that was not blackface. That was an homage. Oh, please, just answer the question.
The black community has your back? The black community has your back?
They do. Sonny,
the black community did not vote for you.
Well,
the black community did not vote for you. What planet
it was during
are you
a special election.
On?
Sonny, can I speak?
What planet are you living on?
It was during a special election while we were still under lockdown and I could not talk to people. Can I speak, or are you just going to scream over me?
This becomes a big... Listen, Kim, good luck to you. Thanks to Kim Klasik.
That was very immature, but thank you for having me.
Ooh, things got a little touchy there, didn't they? I love Joy Behar. It was an homage. It was an homage. The black community has my back. Okay, sure, whatever. I mean, I guess that is Democrat privilege. You're allowed to wear blackface or whatever the Joy Behar. What producer Mark? What was the Joy Behar blackface incident? I don't remember this one actually.
I think it was a couple months ago. Something resurfaced of her. I'm not 100% sure.
I got to check this one out just because I want to know if it was. Oh yeah, she dressed. Hold on. It was an homage. That's what she says. Oh, so she can dress up in blackface. She wore a quote African woman costume. Joy Behar. Here we go. Behar showed the photo on The View in 2016 during a segment talking about the resurgence of natural hair. Asked how old she was in the photo, she said, I was 29. I went as a beautiful African woman. That's right. So Joy Behar showed up to a party trying to look like she was a, quote, beautiful African woman. So keep in mind, Megyn Kelly was fired for talking about the idea of blackface. She was fired from NBC. Joy Behar wore blackface. No problem. No problem. And not only wore it, but like showed it on TV as though she were, someone who... That's pretty amazing. Someone who should celebrate this. Washington Post, blackface. The View's Joy Behar silent on photo showing her dressed as beautiful African woman resurfaces. Oh my God! At a minimum, it's cultural appropriation, right? But it's even worse than that. But that's what really set her off there. Liberals hate it when their hypocrisy is exposed or when someone actually calls them out on this stuff, and that's where it is. That's where it is. That's what got them so up. And they wouldn't let her talk at all. Joy Behar, who's a millionaire who lives on the Upper West Side of Manhattan, lecturing a young black woman about the black community, is about the most lib media thing you could see these days, right? That's right. Joy Behar. And under Democrat theories, under the left-wing approach to this, Joy Behar has more black support. Therefore, she knows about being black more, or she can speak more to this issue. It's a pretty fascinating situation when you try to break this down, isn't it? But nonetheless, that's how that went down on The View. So that was for your viewing and listening enjoyment as much as one can. And then I guess it was Sonny Hostin. Look, these people, a very ignorant show with very poor analysis, but folks watch it. Just want to give you this. I'm seeing this now just coming across the screen. Phoenix police search for second suspect in ambush-style shooting of Arizona Department of Public Safety trooper. A suspect was apprehended at the scene. There's a second suspect. Here's what happened. Arizona police are searching for a second suspect. A silver Infiniti pulled up to an unmarked car on Roosevelt Street in Phoenix, in which an Arizona Department of Public Safety detective sat. Passenger got out of the Infiniti and opened fire on the detective, who returned fire, according to a report. Our detectives were wearing police attire, easily identifiable as police officers. We're here simply supporting another operation going on. A second officer responded to the scene, assisted in apprehending the shooter. The second suspect, the one driving the Infiniti, fled and remains at large. Neither officer was injured. Had the trooper not had the wherewithal and the ability to exit his vehicle and engage the suspect, undoubtedly he would have been shot or killed. Shooting suspect, 17-year-old Luis German Espinoza Acuna. 17-year-old went out, tried to assassinate a cop. Why would someone do that? Well, I'm just, let's start just thinking about this. Why would someone who's 17 years old go up to a police car or, an unmarked unit, but with clearly police attired people inside, and open fire on them? Now, it's possible that this was someone who's just, I don't know, maybe he is a cartel hitman. Maybe it's someone who's just completely insane. You don't know. But it's more likely than anything else that he's a BLM supporter who believes what the BLM movement says, which is that police kill unarmed black people constantly, systematically, repeatedly. And that's what this is really all about. Do you think the movement is going to take any blame for this? No. I mean, because the cops, thank heavens, were not actually hit. You're not going to hear very much about this. But our police officers are being hunted right now. We're seeing that. That is happening. People are, for no reason, trying to or actually killing law enforcement officers as a direct consequence of the rhetoric of a movement that is entirely Democrat in its supporters and has been embraced by the Democrat Party. They are the anti-police party. They are the anti-law and order party. They should be held accountable for this at the ballot box. We shall have to see if that ends up happening. I worry, I really do, about the future of this country if in a year when we've seen such insanity from the left, the American people do not repudiate it by at least keeping the Trump status quo for another 4 years. But get ready for it. 45 days, friends. 45 days. Guess what, everybody? I wrote a book called The Socialism Survival Guide. It's short. It's only a couple hundred pages. But it's about the 2020 election and what comes after it. I've got 8 predictions that will come true after the next election, how to prepare for them now. The Socialism Survival Guide. Wrote it quite a while ago. Just go to bucksextonbook.com. bucksextonbook.com. You can get a copy of the Socialism Survival Guide, 8 radical predictions that will come true after the next election and how to prepare for them now. So you've been asking, when am I going to write a book? I wrote a book. It's an election book. So it's not like a big topical book that I had been thinking about for years. It's just what I see happening right now politically in this upcoming election. Now, remind you, just to be clear, I wrote this and we went to press with this right before COVID hit. So we had to update it and it got delayed because obviously the world changed dramatically from, say, the end of 2019 when I handed this in, the draft of it, to present. But we've updated it, and the overall, the socialism aspects of this, if anything, are only more poignant now. So bucksextonbook.com is the site you go to for that one. And we hope that you enjoy it. It's a quick read, 200 pages. Stansberry Research is my publisher on this one, and they're my partner on the project. And they also include in each chapter things you might want to think about doing financially in response to the political, in response to some of the political predictions and things that I lay out. So bucksextonbook.com. Please pick up a copy. Get it. It's We'll be able to send it to you. Looks really nice. You'll enjoy the Socialism Survival Guide. Please grab your copy of it now. Just go on to bucksextonbook.com. So, with that, what else do I have for you? I guess, Producer Mark, what do you got for the weekend?
It's a Jewish holiday, so I'll be with the family having some dinner, but other than that, not much.
Oh, there was a happy Rosh Hashanah. Tov, what's the thing? What's the phrase?
Oh, you sound like Joe Biden.
What is it?
Shana Tova.
Shana Tova, yeah. Right?
Yes. Joe Biden made the same mistake. So.
What did he do?
You didn't hear the clip?
Play 5.
All right.
May you have a healthy, happy, and sweet new year. And, I just think that it's, Shana Tova, get it done. We can do this.
So what did he do wrong?
Well, no, he eventually said it right. It was just another...
Oh, he had to
what?
Take a second. Yeah, Shana Tova.
It's just a Biden thing. Yeah.
Rosh Hashanah. So it's the new year. Interesting. Yeah, there we go. All right. So you got a holiday. Are you guys doing, are there any special foods that you eat during this holiday?
No, this isn't one of the special foods, but, the mother-in-law is making a brisket.
I love
brisket. That is always my favorite.
Yeah, brisket's the best. Very cool. Well, happy holidays, Producer Mark. And let's get to roll call.
It's time for roll call.
Facebook.com/BuckSexton. Team Buck at iHeartMedia.com. Michelle, first up here. We have heard the Freudian slips from Joe and Kamala about a Harris-Biden administration. But what if Joe actually stepped down at some point after election? Who would be VP? Who would be VP, Michelle? That's interesting. I don't know. I wouldn't be well, no. It's too tough. I mean, I could throw out a name, but in that situation, you never know who would, probably like Stacey Abrams, they'd probably do that. If Harris became the actual president, why not go for another of the favorite liberal choices out there that couldn't get enough, a person who couldn't get enough votes, but nonetheless, that's what I think is, but it's a guess, a total guess, so I can't put any stock beyond that one. What do we say? Max writes, I usually enjoy your podcast, but you just about made my head explode up here in New Hampshire when you said blue New England states like New York, New Jersey, Massachusetts. Please, Massachusetts is bad enough. You don't have to add 2 more states to New England. Fair point, Max. I meant northeastern states. I know New England is what? New England is Maine, New Hampshire, Vermont, Massachusetts, Rhode Island, right? Yep, those 5. Okay. I mean, come on. New York and New Jersey are kind of, it's like honorary New England, sort of. It's like almost New England. But you're right. I goofed on that one. New Hampshire sounds nice, although wintertime up there, I don't know if there's enough firewood to keep me warm. Other than that, Max writes, I enjoyed your anti-mask rant. I have a dentist appointment tomorrow, and I was told I'd have to wear a mask when entering the office. I refused and said I'd rather cancel the appointment. They changed their mind and said I don't have to. Masks are performance art. Shields, on the other hand, very useful, especially when held high. Max, totally. Yeah, that's right. You got to wear a mask when you go into the dentist's office, and then you got to sit there in the chair for an hour with the dentist and not have a mask on. But it's really important you wear it for the 5 minutes you walk in. That's really why are people so dumb? Why? I don't know. I don't know what to do about this. I don't know what to say. Alex, Buck, I discovered your broadcast on a local Portland talk radio network shortly after COVID hit. Weird, but all of a sudden I spent a lot of time in the car on essential errands. Since that time, I've tried to listen to you regularly as I find your combination of knowledge, experience, and perspective refreshingly insightful and humorous, especially in the liberal echo chamber of the left coast. Thankfully, my family and I moved to Idaho in July, and we find ourselves in a much more open society now. Since moving here, I listen to your podcast daily. Yours has the distinction honor of being my first subscription on podcast. Never fail to laugh at your Fauci imitation as well as Chardonnay Nancy. Alex, that's so great. Welcome to the team. Thank you for that really kind and encouraging note. And I'm glad you're able to find me in the Portland area. Now brought me with you to Idaho. Please spread the word. We want to grow Team Buck Idaho, because that's another state that I just want to make sure we keep it red. And I don't know, that Boise sounds like a nice place. I'm sure they're probably majority Democrat in Boise, but the area around Boise sounds like a nice enough place to go live. I think I'd enjoy it. Rose, right, took your advice and watched Richard Jewell. Not something I would normally watch, but I really enjoyed it. So many people don't realize what indomitable force the FBI and the media can be. Love your show, especially your impressions. Shields high. I don't know where that comes from unless you're a big Star Trek fan. So if so, For the Love of Spock was a good documentary by Nimoy. Okay, I'll tell you this. Since we haven't talked about it in a while, where does Shields High is really just a throwback to the very beginning of the show. It started when I used to do a show on Saturday, which is we also refer to as the OSS, Original Saturday Squad. I was doing an internet-only radio show on Saturdays at the Blaze for 3 hours. And I had the kind of time then for each show to prep and do just occasional history segments on stuff people might find interesting. We did a lot of that. And I would speak about ancient Greek history from time to time. So one day we were talking about the phalanx, which is the military formation of heavily armored Greek warriors known as hoplites because of the hoplon shield they carried, and how they had to all stand shoulder to shoulder with shields high to make the phalanx effective, right? Also, the Spartans had that saying, come back with your shield high or on it, meaning come back in victory or come back dead. Anyway, from this discussion with Team Buck, I said that they were with me as though we were in a phalanx together in the fight, shields high, and it stuck as a rallying cry. So it's really supposed to be about ancient Greece and hoplite warfare and not about Star Trek per se. But if you like Star Trek, it could be Star Trek. It's just a little bit like Roll Tide or something. You know, it's just like it's a rallying cry. And it's a reminder that really in life, so much of it is just being able to take the incoming. You know, to take so much of it is how you handle offense from the other side and being durable enough and resilient enough to come back from it. And just be prepared because you're going to get kicked in the face. You're going to get punched in the face. Things are going to happen. Sometimes literally, but I mean that in a metaphorical sense. So that Rose is where it comes from. And as for Richard Jewell, I think it's an excellent movie for what it is. And it really does show the unholy alliance between people in the media and people in the FBI that can happen sometimes. It certainly happened with Russia collusion nonsense, right? It certainly happened in a way that it affected the Trump administration. So, yeah, Shields high, Richard Jewell. Richard Jewell's good. Cobra Kai first season was pretty good, too. I'm just going to say it. Cobra Kai first season was a pretty solid flick. Kevin, Buck, I love the show. Got to say, one of your followers said you are better than Rush. I don't agree, but I do think you are the next Rush. Stay safe and move out of that crazy state. Shields high, brother. Well, Kevin, I mean, to even be talked about in the same sentence as Rush is an honor, so I'll take it. I'll take it either way and any way. And thank you very much for writing in. More roll call here from Mary. Right, producer Mark is absolutely amazing and deserves a substantial raise. Mark, you can't have Mrs. Mark write in under the pseudonym Mary, okay? We can't have that.
I do not know this Mary person, but I couldn't agree with her more.
Anyway, so she says, Mark is amazing and deserves a raise. Buck, you're well on your way to becoming a national treasure. I consider you both family, the brothers I never had but always wanted to. I'm so thankful to Rush for having you on as a guest host, Buck. I'm thankful to Rush, too, for that. My question is for Mark. Is there a line that, if crossed by any professional sports league and or team, would cause you to stop watching and supporting that league or team? P.S. I'm greatly looking forward to purchasing your gear once it's available. Producer Mark's penalty box. We'll make a T-shirt. Mark, is there? That's a fair question to you. And she loves you. She thinks you should get a raise, so she's on Team Mark.
Well, I agree with the raise part. It's not like I put out 2 podcasts and a radio show a day. Regardless, sports, I think I share the same ideology in terms of sports with a lot of people, where no matter what we're going to watch. We just love sports. We're dedicated fans. That's what's going to happen. I'm not going to think of some ridiculous movie-like scenario where I might stop watching sports. That's probably what it would take.
Right. And it would also it'd have to be individual to the sport, right? And maybe it's even just individual to a team. I think, if the New York Football Giants went out on the field and lit American flags on fire, okay, maybe you're going to take a little break from like rooting for the Giants,
Exactly. If the Giants owner started supporting the Nazis, maybe I'll stop watching the Giants. But I don't think anything that ridiculous is going to happen.
I think that's probably a fair point. Any good games on this weekend?
I haven't really looked at the schedule much yet, but I'm just going to watch Red Zone like I always do.
There you go. That way you don't miss any of the good stuff. You don't miss any of the good stuff. And I can keep an eye
on all my fantasy players.
What do you think about wearing the jersey to the game of the team?
Honestly,
thumbs up, thumbs down.
The only place I will wear a jersey anymore.
Ah.
I almost feel like a loser wearing a jersey at any time unless I'm going to a sporting event, maybe a sports bar to watch a game, something like that. I used to be obsessed with jerseys as a kid, but not as much anymore.
All right. Well, there you have it. She wants a raise for Producer Mark, so we're going to run that one up the chain. Janet. Hey, Buck and Producer Mark. I'm a daily 1-year listener. Buck, my husband is jealous of you because all I say is, well, Buck said this or that. Keep up the great work. Shields high. Well, Janet, thank you so much. And make sure your hubs listens to the show, too, so then you guys can discuss all the same political topics and everything else. We're all on the same page. But thank you so much for listening. We really do appreciate it. It means a lot to us. Chris, next up here. If masks work so well, why are they, Fauci and others, trying to get us panicked and fearful about the upcoming flu season? If masks work for COVID, and today apparently it's the cure, then they should stop the flu as well, correct? Love your show and listen every day. Keep up the good work. P.S. I'm 61 and had COVID. It was not a death sentence. Chris, you ask very good questions. If masks are so effective that there's no question that they should be worn pretty much all the time when you're around any other human beings, indoor, outdoor, then why aren't they effective enough to let us, if you're wearing a mask indoors, to let us be around each other without any concern? I don't see, again, they don't know. They're just guessing, anyway, the whole thing. Kelly, Buck, I completely agree with you. The lockdowns and mask mandates are out of control and infringing on our rights and liberties. You've mentioned that we as conservatives have lost this fight and that people have given up too easily, given up their rights. How should we, as everyday Americans who are fed up, engage in this fight? Can you give advice, thoughts on how we can stand up to the lockdown and mask tyrant? Shields high. Kelly, that's a good question. I mean, I'd like to say, write your elected representatives, but I know that's kind of the most cliched radio host thing ever. Write your, call into the switchboard, write your elected representative. I mean, but that can work. Usually doesn't, but it can work. And I would just say, spread the word, man. Get people to understand that this is nonsense. And because this has to be a mass movement. I mean, one person going into a grocery store saying, I won't wear a mask is causing a scene. Everyone walking into a grocery store saying, this is dumb, I'm not wearing a mask anymore, means that people aren't wearing masks anymore. Do you know what I'm saying? The problem is the mass hysteria has been all on the other side, and so the mass movement has been for lockdowns and against sanity, and that's why we have to go through all the stuff that we have here. I don't know. I got to tell you. Jim writes, hey, Buck and Mark, you bring up Democrats declaring health emergencies for things other than the pandemic, and it's already started in Michigan. Governor Whitlis has declared racism a public health emergency and is using it to advance the progressive agenda. I am an on-call firefighter, and like all of the people in the state, hold a license and are now required to go through implicit bias, a.k.a. critical race theory training, based on this health emergency. Wow, that's amazing. The results we are seeing is many of us public servants thinking about quitting rather than being subjected to this crap. Luckily, every time she does things like this, it makes it even easier to pass the buck. Keep up the great work, guys. Yeah, Jim, I appreciate that. And it's out of control, man. People have gone totally nuts, and they're abusing this, and it doesn't make sense. And we've been far too compliant, far too patient. Enough is enough. Let's take back sanity in this country. Let's take back sanity, and it's not going to be handed to us by Fauci and the rest of them. Everybody, relax, enjoy your weekends, get ready for the fight next week, because we are on that straight shot until the election now. Shields high.